And this meditation will be unguided. So I will prompt us in 15 minutes. Have a lovely practice. Please gently allow your consciousness to become less absorbed as you begin to arise from meditation. We dedicate all of the merit from this morning's meditation to world peace. May all beings without exception be completely free from all forms of mental and physical suffering. May all beings without exception be happy, peaceful, contented, and free. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Welcome back, everyone. Hi, Tina. Welcome back. So, happy Monday, everyone. So, I think most of you will recall that I offered a year one examination, end of year one examination that ended at for our folks that started in this meditation program in 2021. I offered the question in December of 2021. And for those of you who started with the program in 2022, I think I might have communicated the same question to you. I have to catch myself from calling it final examination because there's no final anything. But to refresh your memory, the end of year one question was yes or no. There were two questions. Question number one, yes or no, are you an American? And question number two, yes or no, are you a non-American? So a little hint that I offer too is that you can insert any label into that question that you want. This isn't an examination that's based in patriotism. It's it could be, are you a Canadian? Yes or no. Are you a non-Canadian? Yes or no. Are you a Catholic? Yes or no. Are you a non-Catholic? Yes or no, and so forth. Haven't received any answers to the examination questions, which is totally fine. I ask people to please take your time with the questions. And in fact, a non-response is an acceptable answer to the question, as long as you gave it some consideration and contemplated the question. It's still out there. That two-question examination for both the 2021 and 2022 folks. And there's been another question that has been on my mind that I have been, I've played with the idea of making this a second examination question, maybe the middle of May examination question or something. I don't know. I'm being silly. I have to label the thing for some reason, apparently. Has it occurred to you, this notion about sense of self? And of course, sense of self, ego, all interchangeable terms. I say over and over, and I know you guys have heard it many times, that when we awaken to the illusion of a sense of self, we will never suffer again. Because if we recognize that there's no inherently existing self there, then there will be no basis for us to experience suffering. I'm sure that you've heard those words many times. And just again, a qualifier, we're not saying by recognizing the emptiness of our I, of our sense of self, we're not saying that there's nothing there. That's all that we're saying. We're not saying that there's nothing there. We're just saying that an inherently existing intrinsic sense of self doesn't exist. Okay. So back to the question I was going to ask. So if there's no truly existing or inherently existing sense of self, then there's no basis for us to experience suffering, right, or problems. Doesn't that also say that if there's no inherently existing self, there's no basis for us to experience things like joy and happiness and love and compassion? Interesting question. And again, I thought about making it an examination question. Then I realized that we haven't talked about this enough for most folks to have an answer to it, or at least the answer that I'm thinking of. So let's just go ahead and delve into it a little bit. The answer to this question lies in the Maha Mudra. The series before last that we did in our Thursday evening meditation for everyone class focused on Maha Mudra. Again, to refresh your memory, Maha, great. Mudra in this context is seal, S-E-A-L, seal as in seal of reliability or authenticity. Maha Mudra. And Maha Mudra has a lot of different aspects to it, but one of the most fundamental ones is that Maha Mudra is mind meditating on mind meditating on the nature of mind. And the fact is that the end to all of this is that the nature of your mind, the nature of unconditioned consciousness is bliss. That is its nature. Remembering that unconditioned consciousness means not conditioned by conceptual thought, just unconditioned consciousness, sometimes referred to as awareness. It is so incredibly blissful. And I hope that you're getting an experience of that through your inner body meditation, because one of the many benefits of the inner body meditation is it does cease conceptual thoughts. When you are able to absorb into that meditation, you are able to cease the thinking mind. And all that remains after the thinking is ceased is non-conceptual awareness, pure consciousness, unconditioned by thought. And I just invite you to contemplate a little bit on your own. Please be playful with this as you contemplate it. Sort of, what are the things that make you anxious or nervous? What are some of the things that keep you up at night, that prevent you from having a good night's sleep? What if those things were to go away? Like doing things. If you are like me, then a integral part of your life, for better or worse, is a to-do list. the to-do, the list of things that need to be done. And doing necessarily requires time. And so often there are more things to do than there is time for them to be done. And that just gets the thinking mind going off in all sorts of different directions, often, sometimes in a different direction, sometimes just an endless loop that just keeps going over and over and over. It's almost like grist for the mill for the thinking mind. What if you were to awaken to the fact that doing is a fabrication of the thinking mind? Yeah. There's being, simply being, that's a product of just abiding in pure consciousness. We add things to do, and then to it, we add consequences of our not getting things done. And the made-up story, the made-up idea is unfolding and creates all sorts of painful states of mind. Anxiousness, worry, stress, anger, they're all closely related. What if we came to recognize that all of it, even time itself, was manufactured by the thinking mind? And if we were able to cease all of that, we would be able to simply abide in the bliss of pure consciousness. Now, the obvious might be an obvious objection to that, or concern or question, is that it would be nice if I could sit in meditation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But guess what? I saw a question from Roberta, and I think it has to do something with societal expectations or societal norms, something like that. The beauty of the Maha Mudra and the recognition of the blissful nature of unconditioned consciousness is that when we go to that place, when we can experience through formal meditation practice unconditioned consciousness, that pure consciousness, abide in it and know it really, really well, realize it, then when we arise from meditation, then we can recognize that all of these things are arising from that pure consciousness. Things like time, doing, to-do lists, obligations. We achieve a knowing of the fact that all of these appearances and conceptions arise from the blissful nature of our consciousness. Everything that we experience in our world is of that nature. We will come to know it at some point. And thus our suffering will cease. And that answers the question, yes, it's good news that if we recognize to the illusory nature of self, there will be no basis for us to experience suffering, and therefore our suffering will cease. But what about the good stuff like happiness and joy and bliss? When we abide through these Maha Mudra teachings in that pure consciousness, that unconditioned consciousness, we will recognize that everything that arises, everything that appears to our mind, comes from this pure unconditioned consciousness. We maintain that recognition and thus avail to ourselves that bliss and joy and happiness and freedom that comes from the Maha Mudra practice. So, just one last thing, that series on the Maha Mudra, if you haven't listened to it or watched the videos, that is on the Lotus Center YouTube channel. It's got its own playlist called Maha Mudra. So if you'd like to go back and refresh or watch it for the first time, it's available to you. So please feel free. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.